So, hello again, and here we are looking at the garden, the beautiful flowers. We're back again with this troubling message, really. And yet more trouble is on the way, but it's no different to our own lives. So, we'll carry on and learn how we can improve our own lives by learning about this great hero, Abraham. And now his son, Isaac. Okay. So here we are. By this time Abraham had become a very old man, and the Lord had blessed him in all that he did. Abraham said to his servant, who had been long in his service and was in charge of all his possessions, "Put your hand under my thigh. I want you to swear by the Lord, the God of Abraham, the God of heaven and earth." Sorry, that's an old saying. People say the God of Abraham. The God of heaven and earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the women of the Canaanites or Canaanites in whose land I dwell. You must go to my own country and to my own kindred and find a wife for my son Isaac. So I think this is a big mistake, because he's really better off trusting new people, because we learn from Jesus. Jesus actually said directly that his true family are the new friends he makes outside of his family. So that's the message, really, of one of the big messages of Jesus. We need to fly the nest like a bird flies its nest to make a new nest. We cannot stay in the nest with the parents and make a nest there. Now, you can do that, of course. This is not as... It's an extremely important rule for the general survival of humanity, but it's not a hard and fast rule, and that is what Jesus shows us, that the trouble we have as humanity is doing the right thing even though we're free. It means you've got no hard and fast rules, but you've got to be headed in the right path, the right way, the right direction, going in the right place. So Abraham, right from the start, was afraid of people outside of his family, and Jesus showed that that is wrong. Well, he actually said very powerfully and quite a bit aggressively, that is wrong, to stay at home. Anyway, this oath must be an old-fashioned oath to put your hand under the thigh. It's a strange thing. I think people were much more affectionate when they're down to earth, living the good life, growing crops and having animals. They're much closer, more likely to hug. Perhaps like in France, where they kiss each other on both cheeks, they would probably kiss each other on one cheek, and it's a more affectionate society. So here we go. The servant said to him, "What if the woman is unwilling to come with me to this country? Must I, in that event, take your son back to the land from which you came?" So he's speaking very properly and carefully, because it's a servant. Abraham said to him, "On no account are you to take my son back there. The Lord the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and the land of my birth, the Lord who swore to me that he would give this land to my descendants, he will send his angel before you, and from there you shall take a wife for my son." So Abraham wants him to definitely leave where God sent him, and he feels this need to fly the nest like we're naturally given by God, but he's too afraid to do it properly. "If the woman is unwilling to come with you, then you will be released from your oath to me, but you must not take my son back there." So the servant put his hand under his master's Abraham's thigh and swore an oath in those terms. Okay, that means in the repeated thing we said, they just said. Terms is a different word, I think. So that's a bit of a a rubbish word translation, but anyway, we understand what it means. It's clear enough. The servant took 10 camels from his master's herds, and also all kinds of gifts from his master. He set out for Aram Naharaim. In the footnote, that means Aram of 2 rivers, Aram Naharaim, and arrived at the city where Nahor lived. So Nahor, remember, is a relative. I might have got some of these relatives mixed up, who they're related to. So I'm still learning about that, and hopefully we will together. Towards evening, the time when the women come out to draw water, he made the camels kneel down by the well outside the city. So these must be very small cities and towns, more like our villages and towns, not towns and cities. He said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, give me good fortune this day. Keep faith with my master Abraham. Here I stand by the spring, and the women of the city are coming out to draw water. Let it be like this. I shall say to a girl, please lower your jar so that I may drink. And if she answers, drink, and I will water your camels also, that means a very nice person, a generous, kind, and a servant-hearted, someone who's been brought up to serve in a practical way without complaining. Unlike me and other people who've been left to be free to do what they want as a child. This is someone who's had to learn as a poor person, but from a good family. They've had to learn because they're poor. So he wants a good child. That will be the girl whom thou dost intend for thy servant Isaac. In this way I shall know that thou hast kept faith with my master. So someone a bit better than me. Before he had finished praying silently, he saw Rebekah coming out with her water jug on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah. Now that's not the wife of Abraham's father, as we see here. She was the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother, Nahor. The girl was very beautiful, a virgin who had no intercourse with a man. So that is important for a wife in those days, and still now for a Christian. But it just depends on your life, doesn't it? Because actually, no, not necessarily for a Christian, because Christianity is about a new life. And the world is always going to be full of poverty and therefore trouble. So not necessarily now, but anyway, it's an important thing, in itself. To have innocence is to have a new beginning. So someone who is innocent from the beginning is somebody important. How special they are. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and came up again. Abraham's servant hurried to meet her and said, give me a sip of water from your jar. Drink, sir, she answered, and at once lowered her jar onto her hand to let him drink. It was very affectionate. When she had finished giving him a drink, she said, now I will draw water for your camels until they have had enough. So all those things fulfilled. Very nice person. So she quickly emptied her jar into the water trough, hurried again to the well to draw water, and watered all the camels. So she's the best sort of Christian you would want. The man was watching quietly to see whether or not the Lord had made his journey successful. Well, I don't know why it said that then, because he obviously has, but anyway. When the camels had finished drinking, the man took a gold noose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels, also of gold. So this is a very tribal looking decoration. A nose ring. That's to control somebody. I mean, it's not allowed these days, is it? I don't know. Maybe it's not to control somebody. It feels like that, doesn't it? Also of gold, the leg bracelet, the ankle bracelets, and said, tell me, please, whose daughter you are. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? She answered, and that's, in carefulness, not in, everybody get together. This is in propriety, in politeness. It's a polite society, and that's quite impressive compared to many poor people, better than most poor people, I would say, that I have met. She answered, but then again, there are very good poor people and very bad rich people, so let's not judge too much. She answered, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor and Milcah, and we have plenty of straw and fodder and also room for you to spend the night. It's worth repeating, I think, that there are many better poor people perhaps than good rich people, but then you get some wonderful rich people, so let's try and get that straight now. But to be a rich person, you have to be very, very careful how you treat other people. Not wise. Wise means long suffering to help others, to being good, waiting for goodness. That's wise. But shrewd is a businessman who is wealthy. Shrewd means being good to people in a very clever way so you can get things done. Yeah, that's shrewd. So the man bowed down and prostrated himself to the Lord. He said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not failed to keep faith and truth with my master. For I have been guided by the Lord to the house of my master's kinsman. The girl ran to her mother's house and told them what had happened. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban, and when he saw the nose ring and also the bracelets on his sister's wrists, I used to think Laban was Abraham's brother, but it's not. It must be Abraham's nephew, because Abraham's brother, I think, is Nahor. Yeah, so it must be a nephew of Abraham. When he saw the nose ring and also the bracelets on his sister's wrists, so he's got a money head, he just wants money and will probably cause harm for the sake of wanting to be rich. This is like someone at work said today that there's a place we found out in West Germany who are polluting their farmland because they're making so much money from pigs. All the nitrogen, which is good for plants, is accumulated to many, many times too much, and now it's become a poison, but they just keep wanting more money from the pigs and keep poisoning their land more, so they're causing damage to themselves because of their money heads. Greed. So this is what immediately springs to mind, and this is what happens in tomorrow's video. Anyway, we'll learn now. And when he saw the nose ring and also the bracelets on his sister's wrists, sorry, not ankles, wrists, so that's not too bad, is it? Not too tribal. And heard compared to my culture in England, and heard his sister Rebecca tell what the man had said to her, he ran out. And heard his sister Rebecca tell what the man had said to her, he ran out to the man at the spring. When he came to him and found him still standing there by the camels, he said, Come in, sir, whom the Lord has blessed. So it's a bit of a trickster smile. Why stay outside? I have prepared the house, and there is room for the camels. So he brought the man into the house, unloaded the camels. I mean, especially someone's family relation, that's a bit, it's one thing to be, sometimes I don't think people are usually that generous. They're just like saying, oh, it's family, oh, it's like mundane routine, or it's, maybe could be very argumentative, but it's never absolutely wonderful, and that's God's spirit pushing us out of our family. But here he's being absolutely wonderful. It's really being taking advantage. He's being it's being tricky, but in a broader scale, you know what I mean. I have prepared the house, and there is room for the camels. So he brought the man into the house, unloaded the camels, and provided straw and fodder for them, and water for him and all his men to wash their feet. I'm going to read quickly now, because it's pretty much repeating all itself, because it's a servant who's polite. Okay, and then we'll finish. Food was set before him, But he said, I will not eat until I have delivered my message. Laban said, Let us hear it. He answered, I am the servant of Abraham. The Lord has greatly blessed my master, and he has become a man of power. So that's a new phrase for us. A man of power. The Lord has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female slaves, camels and asses. My master's wife, ass is an old word for donkey. My master's wife Sarah in her old age bore him a son, to whom he has given all that he has. So my master made me swear an oath, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the women of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my master. Have I got missed here? But you shall go to my father's house and to my family to find a wife for him. So I said to my master, What if the woman will not come with me? He answered, The Lord, in whose presence I have lived, will send his angel with you and will make your journey successful. It's just all repeating, because he's a very polite and obedient servant. That's what a good servant is, isn't it? You shall take a wife for my son from my family and from my father's house, then you shall be released from the charge I have laid upon you. But if, when you come to my family, they will not give her to you, you shall still be released from the charge. So he's not putting pressure on his servant, and he must completely trust his servant, which means he's a good servant, extremely good, reliable, cooperative. A really good person in all those good things. In Christianity, we say loving, faithful, patient, and self-controlled. Things like that are the good things. We have the 7 fruits of the Spirit, the 7 outcomes of believing in the Spirit of God. Okay, so very dramatic on the camera. It's looked. So I came to the spring today, and I said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, if thou wilt make my journey successful, let it be like this. Here I stand by the spring. When a young woman comes out to draw water, I shall say to her, Give me a little water to drink from your jar. If she answers, Yes, do drink, and I will draw water for your camels as well, she is the woman whom the Lord intends for my master's son. Before I had finished praying silently, I saw Rebecca coming out with her water jar on her shoulder. She went, because at this point I didn't know her name. She went down to the spring and drew some water, and I said to her, Please give me a drink. She quickly lowered her jar from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will water your camels as well. So I drank, and so she was very innocent and kind. And she also gave my camels water. I asked her whose daughter she was, and she said, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor and Milcah. Then I put the ring in her nose and the bracelets on her wrist. So she might be the niece of Laban, the man who is their niece and their cousins, basically, who are living in the same household, which is common with families who are poor, living all together with houses all joined together with a courtyard in the middle, according to a historical book I've got. Okay, then I put the ring in her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, and I bowed low and prostrated myself before the Lord. I blessed the Lord, the God of my master Abraham. So he's amazed, yeah? And completely worshipping God. Prostrate means with your face on the ground, with your face lying down, front down, with your face on the ground and your arms stretched right out in complete submission to God. Submission means, putting yourself beneath God in spirit, in the hierarchy, in the pecking order, we call it. Pecking is like chickens do that, pecking pecking each other. You know, who's the toughest, who's the boss of the chickens. But in our hierarchy, it means what level, you know, are you serving, working, labouring, or are you leading the labourers? Are you managing the labourers? Are you managing the business? You know, what level you're in. And that is saying, I am right. I obey everybody, but to God. So that's what you do when you prostrate yourself. I bowed low and prostrated myself before the Lord. I blessed the Lord, the God of my Abraham. So he just said, you are great, you are wonderful. That's blessing. Who had led me by the right road to take my master's niece for his son. Now tell me, so he really sees pleasing his, Abraham as, sort of saving his life because he's doing the thing that is obedient. Now tell me if you will keep faith and truth with my master. If not, say so, and I will turn elsewhere. So we'll leave it at that. It's 21 minutes. Thank you, and do enjoy thinking about this, and do pray about it, what it means, to you in the world.